pretty low rent. You know, it's not.
But that's all you need half the time, you know?
Well, you know, there's a certain amount of kitsch involved, right?
Right? No kidding.
My professionalism credentials aren't there yet, so.
But you're getting there.
Yeah. I'm going to have to up my game, I guess.
Yeah, right? No kidding.
Move up to a wooden sign.
That's right. Will work for, and then it has a slot where you can put in different words.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, I got all my questions in Slack here do you guys use Slack?
Yeah.
I just message myself like almost.
I don't do that.
My notes.
I email myself daily, I feel like.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's a good idea.
Man, I just lost my phone completely under your chair.
Going forever.
It's never forgotten.
That could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
No, I actually just got the phone like 2 months earlier, but I dropped it in the lake and I was way up north and couldn't get another one quickly. Spent the whole weekend with no phone. I felt so zen and just
Kind of nice.
it was nice.
Yeah.
I'm used to just living on my phone, answering client questions, and
Was a little bit of part of you like panicking?
oh, for sure. dude.
Yeah.
When I saw it go in, I'm like, man,
My life's over. This is it.
what am I gonna do now? Like,
Yeah. No more money, no more clients. I'm gone forever.
So we drank.
Yeah. All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Pod Gods. My name's Jake, host number 1 of said podcast.
My name's Brady, host number 2, and just want to clarify, 1 and 2 don't mean one's above the other.
Right, correct.
It's like thing 1 and 2 from Cat in the Hat.
Yes.
So just
One
wanna make
and
that-
one.
Yeah.
One and.
I like 2,
Right.
but it's just 2's bigger than 1. So
That's true. We have a very special guest today, Mr. RayonBase. And yeah, let's give a round of applause. Do I have my
very much needed.
Nope.
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 There we go. That's the one.
Beautiful. Okay, so I was scrolling on Instagram, as I do when I'm bored.
As one does.
Yep, and one of your reels popped up. I was like, okay, this is incredible. I think I even commented like, this is scratching my ADHD like itch that I have with all the randomness of the video, the production, everything. I need to know this guy. So I think I left a comment and I said, like, is there any way you could be on my podcast, please? And luckily for us, you happen to be in Minnesota. And I was like, yes.
It's so much better than a Zoom podcast.
That's what we were saying before, too. It's just, yeah. So first off, thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And making the drive over here. I mean, I have a whole list of questions. I know you don't want to get into like the personal stuff, but that's totally fine with. Yeah.
Can I ask something right off the bat?
Yes.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like your marketing for these videos are just so good. I feel like you're just a marketing genius. And where does that come from?
If you can judge by one of my kids, there's a goofy gene.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's obviously, you know, we all get exposed to branding, right? So a big part of developing a musical career now is inherently tied into branding, you know, and you don't have to do a Google search to figure that out.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Do you do all your own production, like the instrumental in the back, everything? You do it all yourself?
Except for a couple of the collaborations I've done.
Okay.
I am 100% DIY.
Wow.
You know, so album art, promotion,
Posters.
Registering my
Shirt.
copyrights. Every single song is I register a copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office.
Yeah.
And I can't justify it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's like, why would, if you're going to do it, why do it halfway?
Yeah. So in effect, you have to be your own record label nowadays.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I hear so many stories of artists that just get screwed by the label. They pretty much just give the artist a loan and then, you know, in hopes that they sell enough records to pay back that loan. And then just a constant cycle of, you know, rinse and repeat.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than that because let's say you have 10 artists you're developing, one hits fairly big, and they generate enough profit that you can support 9 artists by giving them the money, but it's not a gift. You know, they have to pay it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am my own record label. I'm an incredible cheapskate.
It's good.
I love that.
That's good. Self-proclaimed cheapskate.
Yeah. I mean, if you want an example, it's right here.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Beautiful. Where did you come up with it? It's underscore RayonBase underscore, if I'm remembering that correctly.
That's the Instagram handle.
yeah. Where did you come up with that name?
So before I even released my first song, I was thinking about, okay, you know, it might make sense to do the releases under an assumed name. And mostly just to keep life separate from whatever this is.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I kicked around a number of ideas. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, to be honest with you. But first of all, the vocal register of mine is low, you know. So you could say soprano, alto, tenor, bass, you know. Now, if you spell bass the way it's spelled in music, it's B-A-S-S,
Yes.
right? But in Minnesota,
That's a bass.
that's a fish.
Yeah. True.
So I decided I would just kind of do a phonetic version of that,
Okay.
B-A-S-E.
Oh,
so
sure.
My lower voice became the second half of that name.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the first half comes from, I had kind of a very strong pull towards synthesizer VSTs. So a VST is basically like a little plug-in.
Okay.
And when you use software to create music, typically that's like, you could use GarageBand, right?
Yep.
I use something that's a little more sophisticated. It's called Reaper. And you can download an incredible array of sound effects, samples, and especially like basically software instruments, you know? So you got knobs to turn and stuff like that. And to me, it was such a liberating thing to have that capability because, you know, you think back to like the Beatles and they had a thing called the Mellotron.
Yeah.
And the Mellotron was cool because you could press a key on a keyboard and it would play back a sample.
Yeah.
So you could load in a whole bunch of tapes that were like cellos and violins. And then
like
you could
MIDI.
basically create a string quartet or something like that. Well, now the modern equivalent is it's really, really cheap. It's way better. It's easy. It's a little bit like sitting in a cockpit of a jet fighter. There's a lot of knobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, have you heard of Jay Dilla? It's like a famous hip hop producer.
Yeah.
Passed away, rest in peace. But forgot who it was, but a lot of like hip hop artists and musicians and classical musicians praised Jay Dilla because he was able to make this huge sounding band of, you know, violin to the upright bass to all these different instruments, and it sounded like an orchestra just with the buttons he was pressing. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, especially the DJs, really, you know, that's such a skill.
Yeah.
To have it like a sampler that basically they have to memorize what all the buttons are.
Yeah.
And then they just punch them all and they try to synchronize it.
Yep.
You know, I'm not quite that sophisticated. Everything I do is basically kind of like dots on the computer screen.
Yeah.
You know, it's like writing music,
Like
basically.
tabs.
Yeah. But I haven't, you know, maybe 400 gigabytes of sampled music and stuff to work with and things like that.
That's a lot.
And, you know, by today's standards, that doesn't even fill up your disc.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So back to the whole, you know, name thing. Rayon was a very, very early synthetic fabric,
Yes.
even
Yep.
before like nylon.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, that's kind of cool because if you're into synthesizers and you think about how fabric was synthesized out of cellulose getting squirted in an acid bath, then rayon and bass went together.
Oh, interesting. It's way more deep. That's deeper
That's
than
so
I thought it
deep.
was gonna be. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
You thought I just, you know, saw it on the side of a truck. Or,
Yeah. Yeah. Music name producer or generator. What are some of the craziest comments you've gotten? Like overall, I mean, you have what, 10,000 followers? Over 10,000? You've had to have had some crazy DMs or comments that people have left you.
Yeah. So my general policy is anything that I don't like, I ignore.
Perfect. Yes.
That's a great answer.
That is. Yeah.
You know, so that eliminates a certain amount. Actually, you know, if you think about it, the percentage of the comments that I get on my videos is incredibly good.
Yeah.
From being positive and stuff like that. You know, there's solicitations,
Sure.
you know, and let's face it. I mean, the bar you have to get over to make a comment isn't very high.
Yeah. Yeah. We know.
People have one neuron that fires, you
Yeah.
know, and that neuron makes them put a comment on something, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't take it too seriously, to be honest.
Yeah. That's probably for the best too.
That's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how we are with this podcast. I mean, we've had some crazy comments where it's like, whoa.
Yeah, where it's like it ruins someone's day that we posted a clip. Yeah,
It's
and
like, just keep scrolling.
yeah, on with your day.
Yeah, I think the level of vehemence that you sometimes see is sort of manufactured and is very transient for
Yep.
the vehementer, if you will. So I just kind of assume that if people are being more than a little snarky, that it's their deal.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a view
You know.
on how their day's going.
Yeah, and so my analogy is like during COVID-19, you could tell during the lockdowns what people really, really didn't want to give up
Yeah.
because they would just do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who died because they went to a Thanksgiving celebration.
Right.
Or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I think the videos that you can put out, especially, you know, some of the things I do are a little bit avant-garde visually or whatever. You know, people have these kind of visceral reactions, but it's not about me.
Right.
It's from them. It's generated by their brain, and it, you know, if it's insane, then I can't take responsibility.
That's such
for
a
that.
healthy way of looking at it too. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
How would you describe your music? I mean, for me as a viewer or listener, I guess, I feel like every song is a different genre, so I can't really pinpoint. But I mean, if you had to, how would you describe it?
Well, it's hard. First of all,
Yeah.
Genres can be kind of like a cage.
Yep.
And sometimes, you know, an artist gets basically so locked to a genre, you know, that they could never escape.
Right.
You know, a lot of the music I would kind of very loosely term as synth pop.
Okay.
Okay.
And first of all, it's not a very specific thing. And second of all, pop has become such a, I don't know, misnomer in a sense.
Yeah.
You know, in the good old days, if you were in the Hot 100, then you could probably
pop.
claim it would be a pop song, right?
Yeah.
You know, that was your badge. And I do think that I really appreciate the fact that the listeners that seem to be resonating with the music that I put out or that like the videos or whatever, I think are people that are very adventurous in terms of what they like to listen to.
Yeah.
And in a sense, they kind of have to be, you know, because if I do something based on a 1930s jazz tune, and then the next thing is kind of a ballad about someone leaving and being terrible to them or whatever, or another one that's basically like a finger-picked guitar song, you know, which is almost like, you know, John Denver could have, on a bad day, written it, you know.
How do you handle writer's block? I know for me, like when I'm editing videos, some days I'm just like, I can't. Like I don't have the inspiration. Like what do you do when you get writer's block?
Well, I haven't had too much trouble with that, thankfully. I do feel like I don't need to produce anything that doesn't meet a certain standard.
Sure.
So there are some things that end up on the cutting room floor, and justifiably. You know, if someone, I don't know, if you're like Picasso and you die young or something like that, then suddenly the things that, you know, you really didn't want anyone to see become
All of a sudden
art.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I kind of hope that never happens in my case.
Yeah. Yeah. Put that in your will. Just leave whatever I didn't finish.
Don't open this file.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Burn before reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. The obvious thing to do is other stuff. You know, I'm kind of big into things like jogging and stuff.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I have so many things that kind of pop in my head doing other activities like practicing piano or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Where do you get most of your inspiration from? Like music wise, what are you listening to that all of a sudden you're like, ooh, this would make a good song?
So I use kind of a weird approach for
Okay.
that. It's not as common as it used to be, but have you heard of Pandora?
Yeah, I still use Pandora.
Yeah. So you can do things like a radio station on Pandora, and you can pick an artist. You know,
I feel like he's 23.
I'm old now.
I'm 36, so I use Pandora still. I don't use Spotify.
right?
I Spotify.
You what?
Spotify.
Yeah, I know. And it's better, in my opinion.
I'm just so used to it.
That's how I am with Pandora. Pandora isn't as good as Spotify, but I still use Pandora because even though Spotify can do the same thing, pick a radio station, it gives you stuff that sounds similar to an artist you choose. And
I feel like we're going down a rabbit hole about Pandora.
Pandora's box.
So specifically, when I first started releasing things, you know, it can go to a lot of different places. You know, you can go to Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora almost simultaneously, right?
Yep.
And so when my music got released on Pandora, I tuned into my own station, figuring, oh, you know, maybe I'll get paired up with someone cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know? And the first week or so, it was kind of like, I think, broken.
Okay.
And all of the artists were from the 70s.
Oh.
They were kind of jazz-influenced people singing the Ethiopian language.
Okay.
Weird.
So my Pandora following or fellowship was with the Ethiopian jazz
Shout out
artists of the
Ethiopia.
70s.
That's incredible.
But I do like one of the better Pandora stations, in my opinion, is Rihanna.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
because she's done so many features with other artists, whether it's Eminem or whoever, you know. And that was one of the first ones I really got into. My latest one that I do a little bit regularly is Warren Zevon.
Okay.
And if you pick an artist like Warren Zevon, first of all, he's done a wide variety of things, but he's not like really mainstream. You know, it's not like you pick U2 or something
Right.
like that, or REM. And but there's a lot of artists that I think are interesting, and it throws in ones that I haven't heard much. Like
Yeah.
an example, you know, I've heard almost nothing up until recently from an artist known as John Prine.
John Prine. Okay.
And he was basically an Americana artist
Yeah.
in the same vintage as Warren Zevon.
Okay.
So, you know, on one hand, you got Werewolves of London.
Yeah.
And the song I was listening to on that channel this morning by Prine was A Town This Size, where he talks about how in a small town you can't get away with anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, interesting.
So another one is I picked The Who.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, there's some things on there where you go like, it's not really in the same vintage or genre as The Who, you know.
Right.
Still good music.
Yeah.
Most of it's nostalgic.
Sure.
You know, but I just don't like to listen to the same thing kind of over and over again.
So I know for me, I always go back to what is like tried and true for me, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, stuff that I listened to in like high school. It's hard for me to get into like new music. Do you find that true for yourself, or are you always open to new artists?
Kind of half and half.
Sure. Okay.
You know, I get in a mood where I'm listening to new artists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you've seen the comments and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, people say, "Have you heard Brenda Kay?" And I'm going like, "Oh, no." And I go Google Brenda Kay and listen a little bit to her music. I'm like, "Yeah, you know, I could probably do a duet with Brenda Kay."
Yeah.
You know, I don't reach out to the artists for
Sure.
that. I figure if they really want to reach out to me, that's cool. You know, but
What's like a dream collab for you?
oh, someone made a comment the other day that I was the 5th member of Depeche Mode.
All right. That's funny. I just was listening to
And
that.
that's a stretch because, you know, one of the members just passed away.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have, so now they're down to a duo. It's Martin Gore and Dave Gann.
So
And,
maybe.
if they contacted me, I would be there.
Yeah. In a second.
I
No
would be
excuses.
there. And you know, honestly, I would probably suffer a little bit from imposter syndrome.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I think that would be excusable.
Well, and then we could put new member of Depeche Mode on
Yeah.
our podcast.
All
as
right.
the title.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Okay, right?
How long does it take for you to, from start to finish, write, produce, film a video, do the copyright? Like from start to finish, how long does it take you for one song? I'm sure it differs,
varies,
but
it varies. I mean, there are a couple songs where I already had like an old cassette.
Okay.
and I kind of spiffed it up a little bit, and I could put that out. There's a delay when you release something, just like with podcasts, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the delay in which I typically work on the video.
Okay.
Try and get that ready to come out the day of the release. So it can be anywhere from 3 weeks to 6 months.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've
a
had
big
some.
range, yeah.
I've had some collab partners where, they have a life, right?
Right.
And so I just continually end up, kind of, hitting the ball back across the net. And when they respond, then I'm cool and do it again.
Yeah.
That's always a challenge, not just because of the fact that they can't necessarily focus entirely on the piece that we're working on.
Yeah.
But it's also that musically they may be very different too. So you get to a point where you listen to something that they've put their heart and soul into, and your initial reaction is, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I've had a couple people ask me to do features,
Yeah.
and those actually are pretty quick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can usually sit down and I can write some lyrics, especially if I got some constraints or a theme or something to work with.
Yeah.
Like I got contacted by one artist they're modest in terms of their impact.
Okay.
But they asked me and paid me to write lyrics. And so I wrote Punk is Dead.
Okay.
And they were kind of a punk group.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's a chance that they'll basically just kind of like come back with Knives Out or something.
Right.
They loved it.
Okay.
For some reason, they thought,
I love punk. Like, what era of punk? I mean, there's like the 80s, the Ramones, Sex Pistols, 90s.
Punk isn't really a genre. It's more like a
Lifestyle?
It's more like a forget you kind of attitude.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Right?
Sure. Yeah.
But
That's
also,
why he likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then, and there's the amateur, you don't have to learn how to play guitar in order to basically make a fool of yourself, or
The Ramones.
yeah, and actually, I have respect for like Johnny Rotten and the Sex Pistols and stuff like that, not because they were great musicians, but because they just didn't blanking care.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like, have you heard of the band NoFX? It's a 90s punk band. I mean, they just retired this year from touring, but they're incredible. They would always say like, oh, we're terrible at our instruments, but I think they wanted people to think that they were terrible, so the bar isn't set high, but like they're incredible musicians. But I think it's like a cool thing to like, I don't care, but yeah, they're like awesome.
I often get a comment about Frank Zappa.
Oh yeah.
And he was, I think, very unfortunate that he never got the credit as a musician that he deserved.
Yeah.
Now, as a composer, as a band leader, as an avant-garde artist, that's a whole other thing. But he could really play.
Yeah.
And also, if you look back far enough, he was on TV in like the late 50s with Mike Allen, I think. Well, he was on a TV show where he, with the host, started making music with a bicycle that he just more or less copped off the street.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Anyway, I think there are people who their persona is, I'm not part of the establishment, which includes practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have like a top 5 like favorite bands or artists that you will always go to?
I would be incredibly stressed about having to minimize it down to 5. I'm a huge fan of the Beatles.
Okay.
For a long time, I was not crazy about the Beatles, and I think part of it was because, going back to the days when I first heard them, I think they were kind of overplayed, in a sense, where you'd hear a lot of it. But they were another band that basically had this kind of aura where they would tell people, we don't know music theory. We're not composers in the classical sense. But they knew it sounded good. And they actually learned a lot of music theory along the way. And their producer, George Martin, taught them all sorts of stuff. And they were like sponges, and they were workaholics too. That's a good combination, I think.
Yeah, for
time.
success.
Yeah. I'm a fan. It's almost redundant in a way, but I'm a fan of the Electric Light Orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And they did so many things that were kind of an extension or a reinterpretation of the things that the Beatles did.
Yeah.
You know, I do love Rihanna.
Okay.
Hard
know?
not to. I mean, she's
All
very
over the
talented.
radio, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billionaire, too.
Yeah.
Her
is, yeah.
makeup line.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. Should we do the holidays real quick? I'm going to restart the
I'll let you
camera.
restart the camera, and I was going to ask a question before the holidays.
We do the holidays for the day. Did you know there's a holiday? Like
Every single day?
Yeah. It's crazy.
All right. We'll just jump into the holidays because I have it pulled up. So May 27th is today, I want to say. That should be, right?
Yes.
Yeah. May 27th, 2025. National holidays. National Grape Day.
Okay.
So go eat some grapes.
Okay.
Red or green?
Not mad at that. Green grape kind of guy for me.
I'm a green grape.
As long as it doesn't have seeds.
Yeah.
Oh, seeds,
Yeah.
no thank you. Grape Popsicle Day, too.
Oh,
So
okay.
grape popsicles would be a good thing.
Get down with that.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Man, May
That's
27th
crazy.
is boring.
Usually there's like
It's a Tuesday,
5
that's why,
or
I don't know.
8 or
That's
yeah.
it. Just grape and grape.
Well,
so
how do you follow up Memorial Day, right?
True.
that's a tough one.
It's the
I mean,
start
that
of the
is a
summer.
really-
Grape day, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What a weird
Yeah.
day.
Tomorrow will
Yeah.
be Raisin Day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. You leave them out in the sun.
Right.
Um,
I wanted to ask, like, how did you start this? Were you just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and just did it? Was this like a year ago, 2 years ago, 20 years ago? When did you were like, you know what, I really want to put a lot of effort into making a career out of my music?
So, right after Christmas Day, you got about a week to play with, right?
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. In 2019, during that week, I started doing some kind of like market research type things. And I was looking at, okay, what's out there for the digital audio workstation kind of thing, you know? And you get these top 10 lists, like top 10 DAWs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that stands for digital audio workstation, by the way. And, you know, for some reason, I decided, okay, I can demo one of these things. I can download it for free, you know? And then I also bought a digital piano.
Okay.
So I have an acoustic piano, and I take piano lessons. But the digital piano went in my spare bedroom that I use as my office/studio.
yeah.
And I got a great deal, like so much money off that I could actually buy some accessories and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And modern digital pianos, you know, you can get ones that have really nice keyboards and that sound great, and that you can just kind of sit down and play, even if you're used to a regular piano.
Yeah.
And, you know, for under $1,000, actually
Oh,
closer
yeah.
to 500, you know. So, and that kind of basically sort of, that was like the thing that tipped the big boulder at the top of the hill that
Yeah.
led to all this stuff that I've been doing. I didn't release anything. So first of all, I was on SoundCloud.
Yep.
And I didn't release anything for about 3 months. And the first thing that I kind of released, and then I since made it private, was a cover version of the song Blue Monday by New Order.
Oh, yeah. I just listened to that not long ago.
Yeah, that is the most popular 12-inch single of all time.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't know that.
that's cool. I didn't
Yeah.
know that either.
yeah. And it's like a machine
It's an
that's got a bunch
anthem.
of interlocking different gears that run at different rates.
Yeah. That's cool. Why did it take you 3 months to release? Were you nervous or scared of?
Learning curve.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was just so much that I had to learn by ear all the parts. And it's got a lot of things moving around inside of it.
Yeah.
And then I had to download like some kind of instruments,
Sure.
samples,
Yep.
jet engine noises, and try to make it similar. And then the other thing that took me a while was recording the vocals. And I should consider maybe going back and seeing what I could do differently, because back then everything was just like out of the box.
Yeah.
You had to read the instruction manual just to do one thing with any particular piece of software.
Yeah.
So 2019, like Christmas, 4 months later, we hit COVID. The world
True.
shut down like 4 months later. Is that when you're like, you probably had time off and you were like, man, I can really get into this now?
I think a lot of people didn't work 40 hours a week from their home. There's a lot of distractions, right?
Oh, yes.
I was still, managing life and doing the things that I was doing. And then I was waking up very early in the morning, for some reason, just really energized. And I would spend a certain amount of time on that stuff, the life stuff, in order to be able to reward myself by spending 2 or 3 hours a day doing music stuff.
Yeah. Oh.
Ultimately, that is where the album The 0 Year came from.
Why do you think some of your songs have gone so viral?
Well, I'd like to think that people enjoy them, or that they're interesting, or both.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I have almost no idea.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I did the song Laminar Flow as a release really early on. And it went out on SoundCloud, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, 3 or 4 other places, YouTube. And I didn't do anything to promote it.
Yeah.
It probably got 20 listens total in 9 months.
I think I'm trying to remember when I first saw like your video and like revisit what was going through my head. I think my first initial reaction was, this is so different. Like it's not, you're not, I'm 36. There's almost nothing I've heard that sounds like your music. Like it's weird, but like a good weird to the point where like you can't look away and you can't not listen to your lyrics. How many layers, I wanted to ask you this, how many layers of vocals do you usually do in all your songs? I'm sure it's different for each one, but like, are there a lot of layers that go into vocals?
For some of the songs that are more retro,
Yeah.
there's basically a single vocal track,
Okay.
and it's kind of center.
Yeah.
I do like to make use of the stereo field, and I think some of my music, if you have headphones on, and a lot of people do when they're listening to music, even TikTok,
Yeah.
there's things that you can do to take advantage of that. Like you can have backing vocals on one side, or
Yep.
main vocal on the other side. I rarely have more than 4 layers.
Okay.
I did do one song called Take Away. And in that one, I decided that I was going to sing on top of myself. And so there's actually 4 layers.
Yeah.
And there's actually, some of those are doubled up.
Okay.
So if you basically do 2 takes of a vocal line and you overlap them,
Yeah.
it sounds fuller and more like a real person.
Yeah.
You can add reverb, you can add echo and all this other stuff, but that double tracking actually, and if they don't exactly time together, they don't overlap perfectly when you come in and come out and all that stuff, it actually, it creates more of the impression of a realistic person as opposed to someone who's been produced by a machine.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I wanted to ask you too, what are your thoughts about AI and all that? Speaking of machines, have you ever used it?
One fella who interviewed me at one time and is kind of a fan, his name's Colin Garland,
Okay.
took one of my songs and he asked the AI bot to recast it so that it sounded like Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
So he posted it. He called it Lana Del Rey on bass.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And it was the song Ever Closer, which has been pretty popular. And he said, I could totally hear Lana Del Rey covering your song, which I thought was actually a pretty nice thing for him to say. You know,
That's funny.
That's really been the only foray that I've been involved in.
Okay.
And I did put out a video where I used that audio and kind of layered it on top of some video stuff.
Yeah. What's like your plans for the future then, as far as music goes?
Well, I don't have a lot of concrete things right now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to continue working on songs. I'm going to probably leave some of the stuff on the cutting room floor. I've thought about doing another live show. So in Hopkins about 2 years ago. Yeah. It was August 2023. Another fellow who was really, really awesome had suggested, hey, let's see if we can like rent a hall and invite people and sell tickets. Yeah. It was kind of a little bit like, you know, the old movies where people put on a show, you know.
Yeah. Go to the dance hall.
Yeah, and he's a fabulous singer, much better than I am, and also, you know, plays guitar, and he often performs with two other guys as a trio, and his name's Luc LeBlanc.
Luc LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because when he first contacted me, my first concern was that it was some kind of like almost like a scam or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Like, you know, someone has a venue and they're a big time producer and they're going to take little old me and turn me into a star, you know.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So Luke opened and I'd done like 10 songs. And I actually have video that we recorded. The sound isn't the best on the video, but it's kind of fun to see the whole thing. And I remember when I was doing some prep work for the live show, that it kind of hit me all at once. I thought, what if someone in the audience actually knows the words?
Oh, that would be so cool.
And as it happened when we did the concert and stuff like that,
eyes dry.
I think we had we had a little bit less than 100 people there, and of course some friends and family, but there was probably about half of the folks who sang along to every song I performed.
No way.
That's such a good feeling, though. Sorry, my eye is so dry.
Yeah,
it's not going away. That's so cool, though.
Yeah,
I would love that if like you spent, you know, sometimes 6 months writing a song, come to find out people in the audience are singing it. That would be so cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool feeling for sure. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so there was definitely a fair amount of prep work involved, and it's the opposite of what I do normally, right? I mean, when I work on a song and I release it, you almost can't take it back.
Right.
Right. And so warts and all, it's out there. And my attitude is like, okay, I'm not going to go back and do a lot to fix it up or whatever, or take out the stuff that makes me cringe, which there are some songs and there are some passages like that.
Well, of course. Yeah.
But, you know, when you do a live show, all those sounds go off into the great blue yonder, never to return. And so you have to kind of be accepting of the mistakes and things like that, that's what people are there to actually hear, is that you're not a vaporware construct.
Right. I was going to ask you, what's the weirdest sample you've ever used in a song?
I don't know if it's that weird, but when I did the song Inverse Deja Vu, I put in a sample from the Jetsons.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, so there's a part of the TV show where they had a synthesized, it was actually, I think it wasn't done electronically, it was more like an air pressure thing that the special effects artist put together for the show. But when one of the little cars that flies through the air goes by, it goes.
Oh yeah.
So I had to put that into that song, and
it's a cool sound.
If someday I'm forced to take it out for copyright reasons, I will.
RayonBase getting sued for millions. Did you have any of those? Would you rather?
Yeah, I can do.
I have a bunch here that just keep going, but
these are more like Minnesota-based, non-music based.
That's fine.
Kind of more of just like
break it up a little bit.
Yeah. Would you rather shovel snow every morning for 6 months straight, or deal with mosquitoes every night for 3 months straight?
I'll let you go, Rayon.
Oh, well, I'm one of those guys who always has a pristine driveway in the winter.
Yeah. So you're
I would lean toward the shovel part.
Really?
Really?
You
Wow.
shovel or snow blow?
I have a snowblower.
Okay.
I'll use it under duress,
Right.
but I like the clean look that you get if you shovel with the real,
Yeah.
like.
I got you.
It's kind of like shaving. It's the same idea.
Oh, sure. I wouldn't know anything about that.
Yeah, exactly. You use a snowblower in your face.
Yeah. Flamethrower. Do you have a huge driveway?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Neither do I, luckily. But we have this huge lawn snowblower that is like overkill for what we have.
It is.
Yeah.
So
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely shoveling for
Shoveling?
sure. I cannot stand mosquitoes.
It's only
Hate
3
it.
months, though.
Dude,
I feel like we
3
do that
months,
anyway.
Eaten alive. Yeah,
You're right,
well,
I'm
out where
taking
you
shit.
live, yeah. Here they spray the skies with, anti-bug
Yeah,
chemicals.
no, I don't
and-
have that where I live. It's
My
bad.
approach is that if you sit with someone who actually smells better than you do, then they get bit up and you don't.
Oh, so don't
So
shower.
be smelly.
Yeah.
One of the perks of being married.
Yeah. They're stuck with you.
Would you rather have to go ice fishing every weekend or run Grandma's Marathon once a year? Do you know what that is? The marathon up in Duluth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what that is. I've always wanted to run a marathon.
Not a big
What was
ice fishing.
I'm not an ice fishing guy. It's so boring. Unless you have like a snowmobile.
Or you're catching fish.
Or if you're actually, I guess if fish are biting. How long? What was the other one? Ice fishing for?
Every weekend. Or run Grandma's Marathon once a year.
Oh, I guess ice fishing once a weekend. That's fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of just run one marathon.
I'd have to train for it. It wouldn't be like a one-off thing.
But you want to do it.
But I want to do it. Yeah.
Ice fish, run a marathon. You're probably picking run a marathon if you like to jog.
Yeah, I would lean that way, but I do enjoy fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mode of fishing is more like trolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather catch a northern.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Would you rather root for the Packers for one full season or never be allowed to go to the state fair again?
I'm not huge. I like football. I'm not like so into it that I'm like anti-Wisconsin or anti-Green Bay.
I'm never going to the state fair again.
What are you, dude? Come
Dude,
on,
there's no way.
dude. That
I
is
could not
so.
see myself cheering for the Packers. I'd have to kick my own butt.
deep down, you wouldn't actually. But I mean, the people that are so connected to it to where the point of like, I get if you're betting money, then it's like, okay, you're affecting my bank account if you lose or win. But the people that are like, their whole personality is their team. It's like, come on, dude. I feel like the Roman Empire would have like gladiators and sports and stuff to distract the peasants from what's actually going on. And so I feel like it's one big, I don't know, I'm getting too deep into it. It's not that
You
deep
are.
of a question.
Yeah.
I'd root for the Packers. Yeah.
Not
What about
me.
you, Rayon?
I've gotten in trouble at times for saying things like "nice shot" when the Timberwolves opponents, when the opponent to the Timberwolves makes a 3-pointer. You know.
You can just appreciate good basketball.
Yeah, and then the other thing is I go to the state fair every year.
Yeah?
At least once, sometimes more than once. And, partly to make, the spousal unit happy, but...
Yeah. The
you know,
spousal unit. I like that.
Mrs. Base. I call her Mrs. Base now.
Yeah.
Mrs. Bates.
My old coworker, when I used to work at the nursing home, I don't know if I mentioned that.
Yep. He's
Mentioned
gotta
it
do
every
it once an
podcast.
episode.
But he would go to the state fair like 3 or 4 times every year, like back to back. I'm like, I can only go for like maybe an hour or two. And I'm
Kayla,
good.
my COO, goes every day.
Yeah. I
Like
can't.
she's already got tickets for this year.
No, I'm
Like
good.
She loves it. I don't know.
I like the Renaissance Festival better than state fair.
If you really want to ruin the state fair, in my
Yeah.
opinion, bring a stroller.
Really?
Because when our kids were at the stage where they needed to have a stroller,
Yeah.
or they would be actually it's when they were a couple years older, and the stroller was where they crashed.
Oh.
That can really ruin the state fair experience.
See, I need to know stuff like this because, my 3-year-old, my fiance would be like, we don't need a stroller. And then we'll go somewhere and we walk a half mile and he's like, I'm tired.
And now you gotta carry him.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, wish we would have brought the stroller. But,
Yeah.
So-
I put my kid on the shoulders
Yeah.
more than a couple times.
Yeah.
Last one here for the Would You Rathers. Would you rather swim across Lake Minnetonka in July or jump into a hole in Lake Minnetonka like a polar plunge in January?
Swim across, assuming it's like the farthest point.
Farthest point, yeah.
Or
Polar plunge.
Polar plunge. I'll do polar plunge.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do the whole distance.
How far is that? do you
I think it would be dangerous.
I bet
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a mile, a couple miles.
it's a
somewhere.
very busy lake, right?
Yeah.
This is true.
Well,
Yeah.
let's assume there's no like traffic.
If you could have the police shut it down
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for your marathon swim, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah.
I don't think I could do it. But even like those people that like swim across like the, I don't know, Black
yeah, just
Sea or
long-
something,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm a really good swimmer, not to brag, but I swear I am a really good swimmer. I would rather do the ice plunge because it would be fun and it's quick, but I feel like I could swim across Lake Minnetonka no problem
Like right now.
right now. You can
Really?
you could ask my mom, Jean, like they'll tell you like he's an incredible swimmer.
Dude, that's
I
far,
don't
though.
I don't brag a lot, but I'm a really good swimmer.
Like, did you do like swimming in high school or anything?
Yeah, no, but I learned at a very early age, and I've just always been a really strong swimmer.
Man,
I swear, I know.
we should put this
I'm not
to the
cocky,
test.
you know. I'm not like cocky and braggadocious, whatever. But I'm
You're not, no.
a decent swimmer.
We should. Oh,
We should.
Man, we should do this. Well, not Lake Minnetonka, but maybe we'll get a pool.
And
we'll
just
do the
laps.
measurements. Be like, okay, you got to go down and back
Oh,
500
that's a good
times.
idea. That's actually a really good idea. I'd be down for that for like a video.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Clip
Are you a good
this.
swimmer,
We're
Rayon?
doing it.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would make quite the claims you are, but
Yeah.
Well, so we could race.
I think you'd win.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm more of an endurance guy. I can go
Yeah.
swim a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Minnetonka from one tip to the other is really long.
Yeah, I guess
like
I don't know.
12 miles, maybe. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
It
Oh,
could be.
you know what? That's a good point. I'm
it's
thinking
not like crossing the English Channel because it's not ocean and waves and salt water, but it's still a long
I didn't even.
distance.
It's far.
I was thinking of it like this. Say my
Yeah.
phone is the lake.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it like this
Oh, yeah.
versus like actually, yeah. So now that I'm like
I
thinking about
think
that,
it'd be a 6-hour swim for me to try to get all the way across.
easily. Yeah, I didn't. Even
I think for
about it like
most
that.
people,
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. I am a decent swimmer, though. I'll say that. We'll leave it at that.
We still need to do some kind of video.
Um,
You think you could swim a mile in less than 10 minutes?
no,
Most people can't.
no,
But he's a strong swimmer. I don't know.
no. I know. Dude, 10 minutes. Dude. Walking, I think takes like typically like 12 minutes to walk a mile, something like that.
You're saying you walk faster than you swim, though?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Wouldn't you say that's walking? Yeah.
I think in most people's case.
yeah.
Huh. I feel like I could swim faster than I walk.
No, dude.
Anyway, we're going down a tangent.
I would love. Yeah.
We're good at that.
All right. I mean,
Growing up, were you in choir? Were you in band? How did you get into the music stuff? Have you always been interested in it, or?
At some level, yeah, pretty much. So I'll give you a quick chronology. 4th grade choir. 5th grade saxophone. No, I'm sorry, viola. 6th grade saxophone. 7th grade saxophone, and then the band director actually switched to bassoon. So I did that for a couple years.
okay.
And then I took kind of a hiatus because, the pressure was there for being, like a famous bassoonist,
yeah.
College, I had this problem that I tried to solve, which was that sometimes I would have trouble going to sleep at night.
Oh yeah.
It's because my brain would be kind of working on whatever thing was related to a homework or whatever. And so after my freshman year, I actually took group folk guitar lessons
What is
at
that?
Schmidt Music.
Oh, I remember Schmidt. Yeah.
So The gal who ran it was a former kindergarten teacher,
Okay.
and she was perfect. She was great.
Yeah.
And it was in a group, so we're all sitting there strumming. And my assumption was that if everyone's playing, the teacher's not going to be able to tell if I mess up.
Oh.
And I couldn't have been more wrong.
Yeah.
She
You
could hear
stand
each
out like a
student
sore thumb.
individually.
Yeah.
And, was really great encouraging everybody. It was very, very hard on my roommates for a while.
Because they had to listen to you
'Cause
practice.
Yeah, and the teacher insisted that you couldn't play guitar and not sing.
Oh. I remember learning to play and sing at the same time, and it was, it's so hard. It was so hard. But
If you start out doing it, it's actually not as hard to. It's kind of like if you learn a language as a little kid.
Yeah.
Your brain is more plastic in some sense.
Oh, sure. Mold it.
Yeah.
What's the first song you learned to play and sing at the same time?
A bunch of Dylan songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it ain't no use to wonder why, babe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
It is.
Do you know who Post Malone is?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He did
I've
a
been
cover.
thinking about getting my face done similar. But
That'd be
Not yet.
incredible.
He was just at U.S. Bank.
Yeah, him and
Yeah.
Jelly Roll.
Yeah.
I think Tom went to that.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'm sure it would have been loud.
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk about a guy that's done every genre.
Who?
Post Malone.
Post Malone.
I feel like he's been
Yeah.
all over the place.
He's done like country,
rock,
alternative.
hip hop.
Yeah, he's done a lot. He's a talented dude.
He's very talented.
Good guitar
yeah.
player too.
So Jelly Roll's talented too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much music being put out. I think Spotify said there's like, I'm going to get an insane amount of number of songs put on Spotify each day. So I think it said like 400,000 songs each day
I believe it.
that get put on Spotify. And I was like, what? But the good thing is,
It's nice to know I put on all the good ones.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was going to
Yeah.
say, good music always, it's like cream rises to the so the good music always rises to the top because it gets shared and played over and over.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ideally, you pitch to someone who's going to put you on a curated playlist.
yeah.
Right? When you release stuff to these services. And Spotify has a really easy way for you to kind of submit to one of their genre experts.
Oh, really?
And as far as I know, I've never, ever been on a curated playlist. on
Not
any
yet.
platform.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
How's your Pandora radio now? Is it still Ethiopian?
No.
Is it?
No. Actually, I remember after the Ethiopian episode, which kind of subsided after a couple of weeks,
That's so funny.
the first time that I was listening to a mix of different songs and it played a David Bowie song, I thought, okay,
We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm in the right
It's healing.
neighborhood.
The world is healing.
That's awesome.
Tell us about your T-shirt.
Shelter.
So this happens to be the most popular merch item that I offer on
Where can we get it?
RayonBase.com.
RayonBase. That makes sense.
Yeah.
RayonBase.com.
Yep.
Where do you get your shirts done? What kind of shirt is it?
It's just a kind of
Gildan?
standard Gildan.
Gildan. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And back in the day, you'd end up with boxes of the wrong size.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't want to go there. And I did have a couple people make comments and say, oh, we really want to buy your merch. Make something, please. We really want to buy it. By the time I had the store online, which was within a couple weeks, I don't think they ever bought anything.
Yeah. You missed the hype of it.
Well, maybe I was overpriced. I don't know.
Oh, how much do they sell? How much are they?
Like this would be with shipping typically about mid-30s.
Okay.
Just for the shirt. And this is kind of the more popular one.
Yeah.
And what they make them custom, the blank shirts sit on a shelf.
Yep.
And then the order goes through my website to the printer.
And it gets-
They actually do what they call direct transfer graphics.
Yep.
So it's like inkjet. So they print it out in color. And I think the quality is actually pretty good.
It does look good.
It looks
Yeah.
really good.
I had to order some samples early on just to kind of make sure it wasn't totally going to be a mistake. And, I sell things right along. But it more or less covers the cost of the website and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to work at a screen printing shop where they would screen print T-shirts and have the emulsion on the screens and all the detail. And I owned a clothing company for like 3 years. That it's expensive, and I can't even imagine how expensive it is to do an actual like picture like that. Like if you had like, I mean, the price goes up with every new color you have to put on there. So if you had like say 5 layers of screen prints that you'd have to, you know, it would like almost double the price each time, and pretty soon you're up to like $50 per shirt. So it's not cheap.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, the service that I use is pretty good in that basically they don't look too much at the complexity of this kind of direct transfer sort of thing. Basically, it's an inkjet printer. And so now there are probably some combinations of a color or a shirt underlying it that may not work too well. You kind of have to be a little bit aware of that stuff. They also do embroidery.
Oh,
hats. Nice. I've got these travel mugs.
Okay.
And actually, those are probably my sort of second biggest seller.
Yeah.
I haven't really sold any of the faux leather jackets. Well, actually, I did sell one, but it was kind of an inside deal. But you'll see if you look at some of the videos, I wear a jacket with embroidered RayonBase, you know, and it's got, you know, Crips and Bloods on the back or something.
Sweet.
You got another prop with you too.
Yep.
What's this?
See, this
is
right up my alley.
An old school cycling jacket.
That's cool.
And
the reggae colors, Jamaican.
Yeah. So these are actually the colors of the International Cycling Federation that they used to use for whoever won their championship. They would get a jersey with these colors on it.
No
Oh,
way.
wow.
So this is older almost than most people.
How old is that?
I don't know exactly. It was you bought it used. My brother gave it to me. So, but it's in really nice wool. You can feel it if you want.
Oh yeah.
And in those days,
yeah.
when you went out cycling, you expected to get wet, and this is what kept you from freezing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when I did the video for Drawbridge of Size, it was really cold, and I was in a parking garage. You can actually see ice on the floor.
Yeah.
And I came really close to landing on my Katokas, you know, a couple times.
Yeah.
And but I used this to kind of dress up for the video.
That's awesome.
What I'm just interested as you like a human. What's like your favorite movie of all time?
Back to the Future.
Oh, classic.
That's
is
a good movie.
Even
I think I've seen it
yeah.
close to 20 times.
Directors even say like that's like their like number one film. Even film teachers are like when they go to show their students like the best film of all time, they show Back to the Future. It hits every like thing that you'd want in a movie. Second favorite movie.
That's a tough one. Probably 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Oh, okay. And then third favorite movie.
Well, I do like most of the James Bond movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like all of them, or
I think if I had to pick one, it would probably be From Russia with Love, which is like the very second one, I think.
Okay.
It's very dated.
Yeah.
Now.
What did you like about
it? There's one scene
it?
where some woman who is a Russian KGB colonel is trying to kill Bond with the toe of her shoe because it's got a blade.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, Tom Cruise would never be attacked that way in Mission Impossible. It's too lame.
Yeah. The only reason I ever got into James Bond was because there was a video game called GoldenEye that came out. I mean, there's the movie, but
that video game was super popular.
Oh my gosh!
And it was kind of well done for its time.
Yeah, it was. I remember staying up till like 2-3 in the morning with my friends back in elementary school, and it was way ahead of its time.
Doesn't it start with like Pierce Brosnan jumping off a cliff?
Yep.
And he tries to overtake an airplane that's diving.
Yep.
And he gets into the airplane, throws the pilot out, and then takes over.
Of course, classic. Yeah. The game multiplayer. You play with you and 3 of your other friends and different levels, and I don't know. Huh. You're
no
too young.
clue.
Yeah, dude, it is better times. But
Minecraft.
You almost can't play some of those games anymore.
No, I went back and played it, and I was like, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
After you play the new games, it's so realistic, and you go back, it's like, doesn't hold up.
Yeah, what was state of the art?
Yeah.
in its time, I guess.
Yeah. Are you a video game guy? Do you play?
Not really.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I figured, but thought I'd ask. Cool. Well, I mean, do you have any other questions?
We got the question.
The question?
And I'm excited for it.
Yeah. How do you want to be remembered when you're gone?
Oh, wow. It's funny. Sometimes you think about if you go to someone's funeral and it's a friend of a friend or whatever.
Yeah.
And you kind of think, I really want to respect the person that's being memorialized. And you see a whole bunch of other people there that are kind of like almost like friend of a friend type people, but they care,
Yeah.
And, there have been times where I thought about, well, if I passed away, would 12 people show up to the funeral? And I'm probably wrong about that. And I realized, no, there's a lot of people that I've kind of affected in ways that, maybe I didn't even realize. Whether it's friends of my kids or neighbors or things like that, I think it'd be kind of fun in that context to highlight a little bit of my music.
Yeah.
But there'd be plenty of people who would go, "Who's that?"
That's funny.
No.
The interesting thing is, so I've had experience a couple times where people have come up to me and said, "Are you RayonBase?"
Really?
Like in a public place.
Yeah.
Once on a cruise ship, not that long ago.
That's pretty cool.
In a mall a couple times, downtown St. Paul once. And they're kind of like almost afraid to talk to me at first.
Yeah.
And
Don't meet your heroes,
that's an interesting experience. So, and then of course, knowing that Instagram and TikTok are, kind of a part of my persona, they're not 40 something.
Yeah.
There might be 30 on the upper end.
Yeah.
Which is cool because, friends, neighbors, family members and stuff like that. I mean, I don't get a lot of quality time with 20 somethings, I guess.
Yeah. How do you react when someone recognizes you? Are you like,
I think it's cool.
you say, yeah, I am RayonBase? You're like, no.
Yeah.
Never heard.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, well, I think in a couple of cases they couldn't even recall exactly which
Where they
pseudonym.
knew you from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or whether it was TikTok or Instagram or something like that. One came up and said, "Are you a singer?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
The first time it happened, my wife happened to be with me, and I think she would never have believed the interaction we had if she hadn't actually been there.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
Still
awesome.
stay in touch with that individual.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love that. Rayon, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you making the haul over here from wherever you came from.
Yeah.
Outer space.
Outer space.
Where can people find you? Where can they listen
Yeah.
to your music?
Well, the music is released on basically all the streaming platforms that are not Russian.
Yeah.
It's good.
So,
Smart.
yeah, I'm not on Yandex, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Yeah.
I like probably to promote YouTube a little bit more than others. They have this thing called art tracks.
Okay.
And basically, you end up with your cover art and then just the song playing in the background.
Yeah.
So it's not really a video, but you don't have to have the subscription, right?
Yeah.
You don't need Spotify or whatever. And then, of course, the merch site is RayonBase.com, and TikTok and Instagram are my main outlets for giving people a visual sense of where I'm at and what I do and why. And it's kind of random, I admit.
That's good, though. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like what TikTok and Instagram Reels are made for. The randomness, it like scratches that itch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I took a cue at early stages from MTV.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned Depeche Mode, they have a really kind of dated looking video now called Enjoy the Silence.
Okay.
And it shows the lead singer walking up a hill with a big kind of ermine cape on like he's a king. And he's
Yeah.
wearing a crown. And he sits down on a folding chair
Yeah.
and looks at the fjord that he's sitting over or whatever, And so in one of my videos, I think it's Pinpoint Light, I decided, okay, I'm going to walk up a hill with a cape on, just to be an homage, if you will, to Dave Gagne.
Yeah, there's so many. It's so random, but I'm sure to you it's not random. I'm sure there's.
Well, MTV had so much stuff in it that was just kind of meant to arrest you visually.
Yeah.
And hold you in place.
Yes.
The quick
Can't look
cuts.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about like a good car accident.
It's like Coco Melon. I don't know if you've heard of Coco Melon, but for kids, it's like they purposely do cuts every 3 seconds to keep the kids. It's like you can't look away, you might miss something. But
That's so funny.
yeah. Thank you though for coming on. Seriously, this has
you're
been
welcome.
awesome.
Thank you,
and
Rayon. We appreciate it. And best of luck on your adventures, and we can't wait for you to be famous. More famous
more
than you already
famous.
are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the God's podcast will contribute to that.
Cool. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Goodbye.